Welcome to the Uncommon Human Podcast, where we help you perform the common uncommonly well. Your coach for all things physical and spiritual is Derek Rosario, who for 25 years has brought transformation to thousands of clients. With God's help, Coach Derek has overcome many adversities on his own journey of faith and fitness, and now he's the owner of Fit to Serve Fitness in Henderson, Nevada. Having discovered tennis at a young age, he excelled at the amateur, intercollegiate, and professional levels. Afterwards, he discovered the sport of CrossFit, and by 2019 had ranked #1 CrossFitter for the state of Nevada in his division. Having achieved all this, Coach Derek now considers himself an ambassador for Christ to help you in your journey to become the uncommon human through faith and fitness. Here with today's podcast is Coach Derek.
How's everyone doing? Well, welcome to the Uncommon Human Podcast. Yes, we are performing the common uncommonly well, and we're jumping right into the hierarchy. We are moving our way up on the fitness side. We're at the top of the peak. We had to work our way through nutrition, mobility, endurance, gymnastics, weights, and now we are here at sport. And sorry, we're here at weights, not sport. We haven't got to sport yet, but sport is coming up. But when we look at weights, we go through these journey. I mean, in my journey, I've been lifting weights. Probably the first time I touched a dumbbell or a barbell was probably 12 years old. It had a little rinky-dink weight set with these plastic weights with cement in them. And this rinky bench that was kind of put together was barely staying up, but you had these colored, you guys, I'm dating myself, they're like blue and red. Some of you guys out there my age remember those. And we just put them on the sides and we have this little tiny bar. But I remember that was my introduction. It was just, okay, we're just gonna lift as much as I can. And it was always bench press, right? But when we look at weights and we look at sport, we look at these last two pieces on the hierarchy. These are the places that we always jump into first. That was my introduction to it. It was that with sport. I was introduced to tennis, then that, but I wasn't groomed in the nutrition side, the mobility side, getting my endurance up, and then working on some body weight through gymnastics. I was just introduced, okay, he's doing well in tennis. We got to get him stronger. Let's get some weights. And I just started lifting weights, just started seeing other people lift weights, didn't have no idea. I had a lot of friends that just didn't play sports, but they were big, they were muscular. They lifted a lot of weights. And I was a little skinny boy on the block that they were just, look at those little buggy whip arms over there, and so I want to put some muscle on. But in that, I needed to train inside my sport. So a lot of things I didn't do correctly, but I learned and learned and learned and learned. And so through my being in junior high and then lifting weights in high school, and skinny little kid, couldn't put weight on at all and couldn't eat everything in sight and couldn't put any weight on, and no matter how many weight gainer shakes and how much I lift, it was still this kid at 140 pounds, right? Maybe probably 140 in high school. And so, but I was playing tennis, I'm running around the court. And so the journey of lifting weights kind of changed. I got into college. I know that now is more of how much time on the tennis court and less in the weight room. So I had to manage that because we had tennis matches and we had to play the sport. It was my primary way of education, where I was there to play tennis, right? They paid my way to go play at San Jose State. And so it was 2 to 3 days in the weight room. And I remember at that time, I had close to 7-8 years under lifting weights, nothing correctly, but just knowing what the guys on my block taught me, right? Lift heavy, pound weight, and bench a lot, and so that's all I knew. All I knew was let's try to get as big as I can. So as I started understanding more of the speed and the conditioning and how to why bench press wasn't going to be the most effective thing for my sport, to be tight in my pec area and my front delt for serving the ball and hitting volleys. I needed to work on more explosive stuff, like doing squats and jumping out of my squat, and doing step ups and doing lunges, right? And a lot of speed work on the court with bands, even back in the 90s, right? And so fast forward to today, and we have just it really hasn't changed. The world of the aesthetic world of everyone wanting to look good from the outside, not worrying about the inside, hasn't really changed. Some of the equipment changed, but it all boils down to consistency and staying in your lane with the weights and what you're trying to work towards. Like, you're lifting weights, but is that for bodybuilding, for CrossFit as a sport, for tennis as a sport, maybe a runner as a sport? What is the sport and the end goal to why you're lifting weights? And that's very important, because when you're building out a program, understanding where you're starting, where you're ending, and how do you measure in between, are you getting better? Not just, hey, I went to the weight room, they have my barcode, and I went to the weight room and I just did what felt good. That's not going to do the trick, right? There's going to be, just like the other 99.9% of the people who just have space in the gym. They rent space out in the $5 gyms, right? It's $10 gyms, and they don't go. They bank on you not coming, right? What we want a program where you're coached around, someone's looking at you, accountable, it's keeping you accountable, and is measuring your success, measuring some of your failures, measuring your weaknesses and how to get better in that, and better your strengths. How do you do that? You can't do that in 12 weeks, in 4 months, in 6 months. You have to be patient through the process. You have to be patient. That is the number one thing I believe, that most people aren't patient enough to hang out and enjoy the journey while they're seeing these little wins. Like, these wins are wins. Every day you show up, they're wins. And if you're focusing on all the other 4 pillars below the nutrition, look on the screen there. You got nutrition, mobility, endurance, gymnastics. If you're working on those, the weights become so much easier, and it becomes fun because you're seeing results. Man, you work on your mobility and you're starting to squat better, right? You feel good getting out of bed and going to your leg day, right? Your CrossFit day, and there's going to be a lot of running, and you've been eating horrible. Good luck. So all of these pillars layer up right into weights, not just pounding weights to pound weights, not the pound weights just to look good. I mean, maybe that's your sport. Maybe you are a model, or maybe you want to just look good for the beach or the pool parties. There's more to it than just that, right? Don't allow that. Don't allow other people's vision and goals dictate where you're at. So it's important to understand that, and understand your limitations of what you can do and what you can't do. See, when I was growing up, I was doing what other people were doing. It had nothing to do with me. These guys never did anything. These guys were hanging out on the streets. They were, a lot of them were gangbangers, right? They lift to just be tough. They lift just to be big in their shirts and their white t-shirts, and how big they're wearing the XXL, extra large. That's even better. And they want to see how many plates they can Kyle on that bench press. That's how they measure their success. And so I got trapped into it, and I believe we still get trapped in that. What are you working towards? If it's weight loss, hey, we got to make sure that we are targeting your training around weight loss. If it's being on the stage for a bodybuilding contest, we need to make sure we are doing things towards that as well, right? You're not going to hang out and do all kinds of CrossFit workouts if you're going to be a bodybuilder. You're going to be doing more concentrated things, isolating the muscle, right? You're not going to do a lot of bodybuilding if you're going to be a CrossFitter. There may be some accessory stuff that you do. They may cross over a little bit, but needed to know what you're doing. Are you a runner? You probably will have to work on your core, that thoracic spine, that your legs being explosive, but just working on technique. And I think in the weight room, where a lot of runners they miss out on is they don't work on the strength piece of like, hey, if you're in a CrossFit gym and you were throwing wall ball after wall ball and then running a 400 meter and come into a 50 wall balls. I mean, you are upright, you are getting your strength in your legs and then launching it and then coming back out and running again. That anaerobic is going to help that aerobic capacity. And so even in the running world, I'm just picking running, it could be any sport. We practice our sport by saying we have to do more of that to get better. And that's not always the case. Sometimes we have to do less of that and then a little bit of the other stuff and then rest and then mobilize. If you want to be a better runner, you don't run more miles. That is some of the mindset of you want to run farther, keep adding more miles. What happens? You break down and you get hurt because you don't have the muscle structure to hold on, to continue with that load, that time under tension of continuing to pound that Achilles, that hip, the IT band, all those things that are blowing up that you haven't taken care of and you're just wound it up and tight, right? Need to take care of some of those things and understanding those things that you're not getting worse by not being on the road running. Tennis, you're not getting worse because you haven't played a tennis match in 3 days. Believe me, I was there. If I didn't touch a tennis racket every day, I felt like, man, I'm losing out. But getting better in the areas where, you know what, I'm tight in my hips. I need 3 days a week work on this band stretch for my hips, my hamstrings. And then I need to rest because I was on the court for 3 hours playing this match. I need to refuel, rest, get food in, hydrate, and be ready in 2 to 3 days. Because remember, when you're in the weight room, when you're strength training, you're breaking down the muscle. You're not building it. You're breaking down the muscle in the gym. You're not building muscle. You're building it when you go rest, you go eat, you go sleep, you water. All these things have a huge effect. Can you overwork? Absolutely. Was there? That's me. I overtrain a lot of times. I've gotten a little wiser over the years, but I know that in my tennis world, that was a huge thing. Playing a lot. And so no matter if you're just starting out in the sport or, hey, you're like me going into the masters, I'm going to train a little smarter. That doesn't mean I'm not going to get injured, but I know I'm going to tackle some of the things that I haven't tackled in the past when I was great at the sport. I'm not going to be as good as I was in the 20s, right? But I need to attack some of the things that I've learned over the years that's going to make me better on the court. I know I'm going to control my nutrition. I know what stretches that I need to work on because of the movement, the fast twitch in tennis. I know what things what kind of endurance pieces I need to work on. If one day is a long run day, or some are sprinting days, or some are vertical jump days, or some are lateral jump days. How do I train that? Basketball, football. The same applies to every sport. How do you apply the weights to that? And so think about that. Think about your weight training and think about how do you apply weights to what you're doing. And weights doesn't always mean that you have to go grab the barbell, the dumbbells. I mean, just a little bit of resistance, maybe with some bands that because you're introducing weights into your world, that your goal is to lose 50 pounds, right? I want to lose 50 pounds, but then also I want to get stronger in my back squat. But your 50 pounds is limiting you in your squat because you can't go down on even the parallel. We got some problems. We got to work on your mobility. So what can I do to open up maybe the hip flexors, my hips? Maybe your ankles are bad. I mean, there's a number of different things can be not doing well. It's not add more weight to get stronger. Well, I got to fix one of these kinks in the armor. And when you do that, and you see that, hey, I can put a PVC pipe on my back, and I can go out and do 10 reps. And if I'm 50 pounds overweight and I do 10 reps and do 5 sets of that, that's probably good for me. If you are fighting for that position to get into, lower and lower, right? If you're not a below parallel and you're trying to fight for it and your goal is to get below parallel, your goal is to better your back squat. But you know what? You got to get below parallel first before you add weight with body weight. So that might be your strength training. That might be the weight that you need. Maybe it opens up to holding a kettlebell right in front of you, like a goblet squat. Maybe it's putting in a weighted vest later on as you get better. You don't have to add plates and plates and plates, right? And that's with every movement, every body part that you're implementing weights into. And so just something to think about. We're moving up on the weight scale. People jump right to weights right away. It's a mistake. I made it. People make it all the time. We walk through the weight rooms right now, guys. You know it. You get people and you're seeing them like, oh my gosh, that looks dangerous. Probably is. Just a thing to ask yourself. Is my training in the gym lining up to what the goal that I'm trying to achieve? And if you don't know, you know what? Ask a coach. Ask someone that is in that area, professional, that professional area, and maybe in that industry, and ask them, hey, I'm trying to get better and ... Is this, I'm doing this plan. We all need coaches. All right. That's a whole nother podcast, but we do need another set of eyes on us because we're going to go to just enough, the least resistance to when we feel a little bit of pain, that's good enough, right? And so a coach can allow you to get out of your comfort zone, you know, and getting comfortable with the uncomfortable is what we talk about all the time. Don't get comfortable with the comfortable. Get comfortable with the uncomfortable because that's how you grow. And if you want growth internally and externally, get out of your comfort zone and you'll find huge gains. It may not look the best on paper, but you know what? If God is instructing you in that area of your life spiritually, if he's guiding you in that part of your life physically, hang out there. Be patient. Enjoy the journey. The journey is much sweeter than the arrival. I talk about that a lot, but it is. It is. Enjoy it. Don't be such in a hurry to arrive because you won't ever really arrive. We just reset goals. Fitness is a way of life. Our spiritual fitness is a way of life. You don't arrive, you keep going and going and going, and you just build this maturity and this wisdom over time, good, bad, and ugly. God bless everyone. That's weights for you. The Uncommon Human Podcast, performing the common uncommonly well. God bless.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please like, comment, subscribe, and share this video as much as possible. And visit our exclusive Facebook community where Derek offers training videos and other valuable content to help you grow through faith and fitness. And don't miss out on a free 12-week nutrition guide. Just go to smiletoday.fitness. That's smiletoday.fitness.